Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Impact review. Obviously, it's Wednesday, it's Impact Day. Well, last night was Impact Day, Wednesday's actually Dynamite Day with that, Also, it's another double upload day because I've got some stuff I want to talk about. So, this video will be out around 5, that video will be out around 8. Provided I can actually get this uploaded. I made a Royal Rumble reaction video on Monday. Didn't go out. Like, I kept trying to upload it and it just wouldn't go. But I did do a podcast for, as you know, I do study journalism at college. There's a student website where we can put stuff up, podcasts, articles, stuff like that. I did make a podcast just myself, talking for, I think, around about half an hour about the Royal Rumble, going through it. So if you do want to hear my thoughts on the Rumble, I will link that down below. But let's just crack on with Impact. And the night opened with Fire and Flavor walking to the ring as Tasha Steelz took on Havoc in a singles match. As the match started, Tasha Steelz got off to an absolutely hot start, just incredible, just very, very quick. Knees, strikes, super kicks, really, really quick to make the most of her opportunity. But eventually Havoc was able to power back into it, hit some big power moves. Obviously Havoc, the much bigger and stronger wrestler out of the two of them. I say out of the two of them, Havoc, the biggest and strongest competitor in the Knockouts division currently. At one point, Havoc is really beating on Tasha Steelz, and as the ref's looking over, she kind of hits the ropes to go for a leg drop, and Kiera Hogan grabs her leg, distracting her for long enough for Tasha to get up. And as Tasha runs to the other side of the ring to hit the ropes, and the ref is sort of distracted, going over to see what's going on with Kiera and Havoc, Nevaeh trips up Tasha Steelz, and Brandon Toll has missed both. Tasha comes right in the middle of the ring, gets picked up by Havoc, and dropped the tombstone for the win. And Havoc and Nevaeh get another one up on the Knockouts Tag Team Champions. It'll probably lead to a match, No Surrender, in a couple of weeks. And then after that, I imagine that'll be it. I don't see them winning the titles off of Fire and Flavor. I think they're the team you want to have it on for a long time, especially with how good they are both in the ring and on the mic. You bring them over to Impact to challenge Anna Jay and Ty Conti. And the promos there, they're one of the people from Impact that you want to send over first to really get people to look at it and go, oh, they're over there, I like them. And I'm not saying Havoc and Nevaeh aren't like that, but if you don't want them to wrestle, maybe might not be time for a match on the show, there's more hype with a Fire and Flavor promo, I think, than like a Havoc and Nevaeh coming over and squashing some people and then calling out Anna Jay and Ty Conti. I have an apology to make. Last week, I just switched it off before it ended because there's only a couple of minutes left of the broadcast after the main event finished. But what happened is Ken Shamrock actually went crazy and beat down a ref, and they showed the extended clip of that. The cameras kept rolling after the show went off the air last week. Ken Shamrock just kept that ankle lock in on Brandon Toll. Then he knocked out Sami Callihan when he tried to calm him down, and he threw around a bunch of security guards. And we found out that now Ken Shamrock has been suspended indefinitely, and even Sami Callihan's done with him. Sami Callihan says, Scott D'Amore made the right decision for a change. I'm done with Ken Shamrock. He's too mad. So Ken Shamrock will be off TV indefinitely. Backstage, world champion Rich Swann is talking to his number one contender Tommy Dreamer, and they're having a little bit of back and forth. And Swann says, I remember growing up watching wrestling. There was this young upstart kid who relinquished a shot at a championship to give the vet a go. And Tommy Dreamer was like, yep, that was me and Terry Funk. And he goes, well, now I'm the young kid, you're the vet, and I'm giving you a shot at this title. But tonight, main event, tag team match, me and you versus Chris Bate and Moose. But how about this, Tommy? Look, I know, I want you to be in the best shape you can be for when we wrestle, so don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You just tag out whenever. I'll keep going. If you're feeling the pressure, just tag out. Tommy Dreamer says, Rich, don't worry. But if you're ever in there and you feel a little bit out of your depth, tag out to me. And Rich Swann gets kind of condescending. He says, Tommy, I don't run it out of gas. I don't get tired. I don't get out of my depth. But I appreciate it. I'll see you out there. And there's a little look in Tommy Dreamer's face. He's not entirely happy with the lack of respect being shown from Rich Swann. The Good Brothers are backstage talking about how tomorrow night they're going to go to AEW and 1, 2, 3 beat up Jon Moxley. Oh, love them. They're the best. That was kind of loud. But anyway, love them. Absolutely love them. When the team of Chris Sabin and James Storm walk over to call them out, the team I have nicknamed Teenage Beer Bottle Rocket, because obviously the Motorcycle Machine Guns wear Teenage Bottle Rocket logos on their gear. I'm a simple man. I make myself laugh. That's all I really care about. But they walk over and say, look, you're so big, but why don't you wrestle us? And they sort of say, we're two of the most decorated tag team wrestlers in this company's history, you're scared to put it on the line against us. And they say, look, we can't do it this week. Tomorrow night main event at Beach Break, but you know, how about next week? So we're getting a match next week, and I didn't think it was for the titles, but later on there's a segment which we'll circle back to this. But keep that in mind. I don't know if it is a title match or not, because I wasn't paying attention at the breakdown of next week because I was on Twitter, just looking through it the bit when Striker and D'Lo were going through everything that we're getting next week. I was just looking through Twitter and I missed it. Didn't go back to find out because I'm a bad journalist. I'm gonna fail my GNT. No, please don't. Oh dear. Madmanfaulkner had a one-on-one match with Josh Alexander next. This was obviously set up from the tag team match last week, and this was actually really, really fun. Fulton immediately closed the gap on Alexander, but Alexander was able to sort of like out-wrestle him and get out of the tight situations. But Fulton, also 6'8", big long legs. Whenever he realised that wasn't going his way, bang, just a big boots, keeping his distance, being, you know, a much more powerful man than Alexander. Strikes to the knees at one point, a headbutt to the small of the back. Just a lot of really good back and forth. Alexander tried to lock in the ankle lock a couple of times, but Fulton was able to escape. Like I said, there was a lot of good back and forth, sort of like power versus like the technicality of Josh Alexander's style. And Josh Alexander was able to put him away with a sort of J Driller, which I think Striker called the Age of Alexander. No, not the Age of Alexander, because that's Cedric Alexander's thing. The Great Alexander, I think he called the move. But he put him away with a J Driller, sort of like butterfly lock, pile driver, and picked up the win over Madmanfaulkner in a surprisingly good match. When I say it was surprisingly good, by the way, I don't mean that I don't think either of them are good, because I think they're both great. Just, it was only even like 4 minutes, but they packed a lot of stuff into that 4 minutes, and I thought it was really good. Brian Myers came to the ring next wearing an eye patch, talking about what happened last week when Eddie Edwards appeared to turn heel by just digging the thumb into his eye for, you know, an uncomfortable amount of time. And he got in the ring and he said, look, Eddie, you know I want to fight you, but got a doctor's note here, can't do it. Eddie's music hits, runs to the ring, slides in the ring, and as Myers takes a wide base to fight him, Eddie just slides right through his legs. It was class. He slides right through his legs, gets up, gets on the ground, and just starts taking him out. And I'm thinking this has added more fuel to the fire on a potential Eddie Edwards heel turn. But then Hernandez comes out, big super mix. He is now clearly in the pocket of Brian Myers, because he just starts whooping on Eddie Edwards to save Myers. And Myers sort of says, you know, I can't wrestle you at no surrender, but this man can. And then Matt Cardona runs out to make the save. So Eddie Edwards hasn't turned heel, even though he last week appeared to turn heel. It's weird. It's a weird story. I don't know what's going on, but Cardona and Edwards chased off Myers and Hernandez. And they're actually two very interesting pairings, especially Myers and Hernandez. I think Hernandez is great, but he's now 50, 51. And I don't think Myers is like just ready for that jump up to the main event level yet. I think he definitely has it in him, but I think storyline wise, he needs a sort of stopgap right now between all the Dreamer stuff. She needs something in there, and then, you know, maybe have a crack at Rip Swann, or probably Kenny Omega by that point. And I think teaming up with Hernandez right now is the right decision. Then we go backstage to Swinger's Palace. Johnny Swinger still in his leopard print toga, and everyone's just there, playing poker and whatever. And it kind of just served to show us that Johnny Swinger has the big wad of cash still. And then, you know, they're all, I think that's Alicia and Fowler are there, and Johnny Bravo's dealing the cards, but none of them are happy about it. It was weird, but like, I think this is going to lead to like a nice fun run of segments. I think because it's quite a small cast, I would have preferred to have seen 3 of these segments over one night. It's not like Wrestle House when you had like a massive cast and we're taking up like 10-15 minute portions of the show. This is like, you know, quite a contained thing, and it's all around Swinger having the big wad of cash, and that's how you can like pay the swingettes and stuff like that. But I would have preferred to have seen multiple segments of this throughout the show to get a clear picture of where it's going, than probably one next week, one the week after, stuff like that, which is probably what's going to happen. Eddie Edwards and Matt Cardona were walking around backstage, and they just sort of confirmed they're now in alliance, and they are probably going to go to Scott D'Amore to look for a tag team match at No Surrender against Myers and Hernandez, which I think will be fun. It was, you know, like again, a weird segment. Eddie's once again being like full-on babyface. Cardona's being big-time babyface because Matt Cardona's a massive babyface. And they just sort of, you know, talked about Brian Myers and everything that's been going on, and, you know, so it looks like that match will probably be set for No Surrender. Larry D looked for revenge on Rosemary after going to jail and stuff like that, and he wrestled her boyfriend, partner, whatever he is in the story. He wrestled Crazy Steve in like a fun match, good few minute match. They kept putting over Larry D's knockout power. Towards the end, Crazy Steve went to spring in, got punched out there, and Larry D picked up the win. In a sit-down interview with Trey Miguel and GM Miller, talking about everything that happened, and Trey said, when I arrived in Impact Wrestling, in fact even before that, everywhere I went, it always seemed like I was walking with two crutches. No one was ever able to see me as Trey. I was one of the Rascals. I was Trey, member of the Rascals. I was never able to be Trey Miguel. But now, those guys are somewhere else, and hopefully I'm able to get rid of those shackles of the perception that a lot of people had of me and do my thing. At this point, the ICU sort of graphic hit, and Sami Callihan appears behind them, and he goes, 2 crutches. Those guys have been in the new place for a cup of coffee and you're already burning them on the way out. And they just have a go at each other back and forth. Looks like that's just setting up a feud probably for No Surrender or whatever big event is after that. And I'm okay with this. This gets Sami Callihan away from Eddie Edwards, gives Trey Miguel a good singles feud, and I think they're going to have an awesome match whenever they get their big blow off. Triple XL were backstage talking about the match they just had, and Larry D says, you know what, man, Rosemary's lucky we don't hit women. At which point Tenille and Caleb walk over and they say, look, if you don't want to hit Rosemary, Tenille says, I'll do it. So I think this is now leading to, say, if they can find someone else that's as crazy as them to team up, we've got a deal. So I don't know if there's going to be an 8-man with Caleb, Triple XL, and Tenille versus Rosemary, Crazy Steve, and who else they can get for Decay. Or it was just going to be a 6-man with Caleb on the outside taking photos. Either way, it's going to be fun. But I do hope soon they move Tenille out of this Rosemary storyline. Because I get that it's re-establishing Rosemary and Decay as a singular threat away from the Ty Valkyries of the world and the Johnny Bravos of the world. But Tenille's so good, and she's not had a run at Deonna. And I really want her to have a run at, I know they're both heels, but I really, really want to see that match. And speaking of Deonna, the next match was Susan, the alter ego of Su Yung and Susie, versus Jordan Grace. The Susan character was great. I've not done a 180 on Susan, because when I first saw it, I didn't watch Impact that week when she became Susan, and I was looking at it going, I don't know what this is. It seems odd. Is this this has the potential to be naff, and then it's just been so good, brilliant. She's like taking her jacket off in the middle of matches and getting distracted by it. Susan's great. She had a fun match with Jordan Grace. Obviously the Susan character was inexperienced. To be throwing Jordan to the outside and Kimber and Deonna be putting the boots to them. At one point Jazz gets involved and Striker teases a possible match between Jazz and Deonna Purrazzo, and yes. Jordan at one point has like a really high Michinoku driver, looks fucking brutal. Susan kicked out. And I'm pretty sure Jordan picked up the win. Wait there, I need to double check that. Because what happened after the match totally threw me for a loop, and I didn't even write down in my notes the winner because something happened after the match. I got too excited and I forgot. Right, okay, so Jordan Grace did beat Susan in that match. But after the match, Kimber and Deonna and Susan were using the numbers advantage to beat down Jordan and Jazz. And ODB came back. ODB came back, got in the ring. Susan walked over, said, hi, I'm Susan, shook her hand, and she shook her hand and fucking knocked her out. And ODB was running around doing BAM! All that stuff. Oh, I love ODB. I absolutely love ODB. I think she's great. And in a segment later, which didn't happen right after, but ODB pretty much confirmed that she's back in Impact for like a while. And it looks like we'll be setting up for a 6-woman tag with Deonna, Kim, and Susan versus Jazz, ODB, and Jordan Grace. And I'm buzzing with that. I'm so excited for that. Private Party and Matt Hardy appeared on the show once again in their little back room, and Private Party are pissed because, so like I said earlier on, I didn't think that, I might have missed it if they did, but I didn't think that Sabin and Storm set themselves up for a title match. But Private Party were pissed that they get a go at the tag champs before they actually get a go at the tag champs after beating them, which is fair enough actually. But Matt Hardy sort of calmed them down and he was, look, you're going to beat them, you're going to win this battle royal, you're going to beat them, you're going to be champions of 2 companies, you're going to be millionaires, everything's good. I may be taking 50% here and 30% over there, but when you're making millions and millions and millions of dollars, you still become multi-millionaires. And, they're on board with Matt Hardy's philosophy, so fair play. We then got a paid ad of the night for Beach Break. Tony Schiavone's in a Hawaiian shirt wearing a hat that's like a shark teddy on it. Amazing. Tony Khan was drinking out of a coconut. And Tony Khan just pretty much said, look, Impact, you've been making some disparaging comments about me. You've been saying, that I view wrestling as my own fantasy league. Well, maybe I do, because I've got the money to do that. You know what? I'm now sending Jon Moxley to New Japan so he can defend his title for the first time in over a year, because I can just do that. Tomorrow night on Beach Break, we've got this match, this match, this match, this match, this match. They also, though, showed the graphic or the tweet confirming that Moxley and Kent are showing them squaring up to each other. So, AEW are being promoted in Impact whilst promoting New Japan in an AEW ad on Impact. This is the triangle I need. This is the triangle of friendship I need. With the bottom here, we've got Impact and AEW, and then over in Japan, we've got two American companies here, and we've got New Japan up here, and just a nice little triangle of friendship. And you can send, I know the Rascals are in fucking NXT now. Why? You can send Private Party to New Japan, and you can send the Motorcycle Machine Guns to New Japan, and you can send Kojima to come and fight Joe Doring, because I'd love to see Kojima fight Joe Doring. You can send Taiji Ishimori to fight Jungle Boy, and you can just do all this, and I need this. That's what I need. That's what we all need. Rohit got his non-title match against TJP, and obviously the question on everyone's lips was, who is his big pal that we saw the thing last week? We saw Rohit has a friend, an enforcer. So him and TJP had a very good match, and I hate to put TJP over because I don't like him. He's a very, very good wrestler, but I just don't like him. Tweeting about mass, his own work and all this. He's just a naff guy, isn't he? And he fucking got on Twitter and he said that he's better than Eddie Guerrero. He's just a naff guy. But he's a really good wrestler, so, what makes me invested in a TJP match? Rohit. So what makes me invested in watching a TJP match. Because Rohit, as I say every week, is one of my favourite guys in the world right now. But, some really, really good back and forth wrestling. Absolute liquid wrestling. TJP does the whole thing where he goes under the ring, crawls out the other side, and as he goes under Rohit, he's like, nah, I've seen this before, ref, get under there, look, start counting. And we see TJP crawl out the other side of the ring, followed by Mahabali Shera. If you don't remember Mahabali Shera, he's a dude who signed, I think around 6 or 7 years ago, 2015, 14. He's a big Indian man. Massive professional wrestler from India. And what I didn't know is in my time away from Impact, him and Rohit had teamed for a while. Shera went back to India for a while, was wrestling in India, probably teaming together before lockdown. But he's back, and that was Rohit's big pal that we saw over his shoulder. He chokeslammed TJP on the apron, hardest part of the ring. Rohit pulled him back in, hit the running knee, and picked up the win. And I saw on Twitter that it looks like he is now in the title match at No Surrender, where he could possibly, fingers crossed, become a 2-time X Division champion. So hopefully we get that. Please, Scott DeMore, please do the right thing. We then had 2 back-to-back promo segments that sort of link into each other. One was a Violent by Design vignette, just talking about the name, does exactly what it says. We are violent by design. We know our message is clear. We know we are right. And we understand that there is no way to own this world and to earn what we deserve without being like this. Then it goes to Gia Miller with Cousin Jake, and she just asks him, will you join Violent by Design? And Cousin Jake says he's going to give them their answer next week on Impact, so we'll find out what's happening next week. Then for the main event, Moose and Chris Bay versus Britt Swann and Tommy Dreamer. And the match started with, I believe, Bay and Dreamer. Bay just being a lot quicker than Tommy Dreamer. Then when Swann eventually tagged in, Chris Bay brought in a real brawling style, something I'd never really seen out of him. But I thought it looked really good. Just a totally different wrinkle to his game. I mean, all 4 men in this match looked great. Chris Bay and Moose worked incredible together. And the finish came, we're about 8 or 9 minutes in the match, where Swann tagged in, but Dreamer didn't know he tagged in. And Moose had tagged in, but he'd been waiting on the outside. I think Moose had tagged in, but Dreamer missed it. Then he tagged out to Swann, and Moose got in the ring, went to spear Dreamer, who moved, inadvertently sending him right into Rich Swann, the legal man. Chris Bay was able to lock in a front chancer and hold Dreamer away, and they picked up the win over the world champ and the number 1 contender towards the end of the And with that big spear to Rich Swann, they picked up the win over the world champion and his number one contender. After it then they, as they were posing, Moose grabbed both titles and held them high above his head and kind of made Chris Bay look like a child stood next to him. I'm so happy to see both these guys as a team. I think they're both amazing. But really, I like what both of them bring as a tag team and as individual challengers. I don't think it's going to be long before we see Chris Bay with that World Championship. Maybe by the end of the year. And yeah, like I said, that was it for Impact. This was a good episode of Impact. Not a lot happened, but nothing bad happened. The main event was really good. This is one of those matches that just moved stories forward more than had really good matches. I think Impact is, it has sometimes it has a night that only pushes story forward and, has a few matches, and then sometimes has nights with just, little story progression but really, really good matches, and this was, the former. And I like that. I think wrestling shows do need that, and, overall I was a big fan of this week's episode. So the score, I'd say probably an 8. I'd say like a low 8. Highlights of the night include Shira coming back for me. The main event was really good. The Trey and Sammy promo was really good. ODB coming back is great. I really enjoyed the show. I wouldn't say there were any major lowlights. Crazy Steve and Larry D I wasn't really that invested in. It was a good match, it was fun, but I just personally didn't really care that much. But yeah, that was it for the show. Like I said, I'll be back later on tonight with another video, another rambling video. So thank you so much for watching. Leave a subscribe or leave a like if you haven't. Subscribe if you're new. I post 2, 3, 4 wrestling videos a week. And How Good will be returning next Saturday. It's going to be a bi-weekly series. Every 2 weeks another episode of How Good. So that'll be out in a week and a half. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching the video, and I'll see you later.